Start. Om Ajnanatimrandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vandeham Shri Gurur Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindha Dinabandha Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayine Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Tushe Namaha Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Janmadhyasya Tanvayaditaratas Charte Subhigyaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Muyantiyat Suraya Tejo Varimridam Yatha Vinimaya Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakurakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiret Swasti Astu Vishwasya Khala Prasidatam Dhyayantu Bhutani Shivam Mithodhiya Manascha Bhadram Bhajata Dadhokshajay Avishyatam No Matirapya Hetuki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 4. And we are continuing to read verse number 31. These are prayers by Daksha to Lord Vishnu. And he is speaking how Lord is manifest in the form of the universe, and at the same time he is beyond it. This is one very important principle, because there is also understanding that God becomes the universe, and that's what God is all about. Or God is completely aloof from it and does not participate. So the philosophy of Bhagavatam is that God is both immanent and transcendent to the universe. He is within it and he is also beyond it. He is the cause of it, and yet he does not undergo any modification, which is very illogical. Because any cause, especially the material cause, undergoes change or modification. So it is to make these points that these prayers are being recited here. So first he said that everything is caused by him, he is the only one hetu. And now he says that is the case, then why there are so many philosophies? So he said this is because of the potency of the Lord. And potency here means Maya Shakti. the material energy. We have our senses and there are sense objects externally. And when the sense comes in contact with the sense object, then we get a sensation. But then the sensation is interpreted through the mind, which is an internal sense. And that interpretation depends on what is inside a person. So it is one reality which appears in so many different ways to different people because of the different states of consciousness of people. There is actually only one reality, as Upanishads say, that Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma, this is only Brahman. Krishna says Vasudeva Sarvamiti, that is all Vasudeva. And yet it does not appear like that to anybody. No one sees it as Brahman, nobody sees it as Vasudeva. Everybody is seeing this as material objects, something which they can use for themselves. So that is because of the influence of the Maya Shakti.
What about rishis? What about rishis?
Where are the rishis?
Huh?
Where are they?
Somewhere.
We are talking about people who are here.
Okay.
There is no point in talking about those who are already seeing it properly. So, sarvabhutasu yenekam bhavam avyamikshate avibhaktam vivekteju tas jnanam vidhi sattvikam. Krishna says that knowledge is considered as sattvic knowledge, or knowledge in goodness, where one sees only one reality in everything, undivided one reality in all the divided objects. That means one sees the objects also and one sees that one reality. So we see different objects, but we don't see one common basis of all this variety, this diversity, variegatedness. So when we see only the variety and not the unity, that is called knowledge in passion. So that is the situation with most people. And at that level then there is clash. Where everybody is seeing it differently. If one is in sattva, then there is no clash because everybody will see the same. But when it is rajasic, then there is vivad, then there is argument, counter-argument, because everybody sees it according to their own lens. So like you put on different colors of lenses at your eyes and everybody has different colors and everybody is arguing. No, it is red, someone says it is pink, someone says it is blue. But one who has no glasses says that it is colorless. Or it is white, or it sees the right color. So therefore this verse says that yad shaktayo vadatam vadinam vai vivada samvada bhuvo bhavanti. This becomes the ground for contention. And kurvanti cha shamura atma. Because of that there is bewilderment. Means no one really comes to an ultimate conclusion. Even those who conclude something, their mind also keeps on changing. One place one thing, another place another thing. Bahushakayam tasya buddhya avyavashayinam. So they have multi-branched intellect because they are not rooted in the absolute. So that's what we were reading in the commentary yesterday, that various types of scholars, Advaitwadis, Naiyayikas, Sankhyas, Yoga, Swabhavadis, Mimamsakas, Vaisheshika. So they all have described reality, and everybody has said that by understanding this one will know the truth. So he says that this is because these gunas have so much variety in themselves. Although there are only 3 gunas, but they have so much combination. You combine them in various ways, and so much variety comes out of it. There is no end. Gunanam anashwaratvam nishimatvam chottam. So these gunas have 2 qualities, that they are never ending and they are unlimited. Which means both in time and space, there is no limit on it. Not that particular place in this universe there are no gunas, or at a particular time there will be no guna. You continue. So image anyecha bhagavan nityayatra mahaguna iti prithivyuktau nitya iti padena nantam gunanam agunasya jagmur yogeshwaraye bhavpad mukhya iti sutoptau cha gunasya iti yogeshwara iti padabhyam. So he is quoting some statements from Bhagavatam. First is from the prayers of earth. It says that Lord has all these, there's a list of qualities given there. And then he says these and then much more, they are eternal qualities of the Lord. And Nantam Gunanam Agunasya Jagmur Yogeshwaraye Bhavpadam. So Lord is called Aguna. The word Guna is used in 2 different senses. One is used in the sense of the 3 gunas of the nature, and another is used in the sense of qualities of any object.
Qualities of what?
An object. Every object has some quality. That is also called guna in Sanskrit, characteristic. And guna is also used for the constituents of material nature, sattva, rajas, tamas. So Lord has gunas. One means he has gunas, he has qualities. And one is saying that he has no guna, means he does not have the gunas of Prakriti. Because he is spiritual. So that's what he says, that he is called here as Aguna, means no gunas in him, and yet he has unlimited gunas. So he says, Gyan Shakti Bala Aishwarya Virya Tejansya Shesata Bhagavad Shabda Vachyani Vina Heye Gunadibhi Iti Parasharakta. So Parashar, sage Parashar, he is described the word Bhagavan in Vishnu Puran. And he says that Bhagavan is one who has complete knowledge, complete power, mental power, controlling power, mystical power, prowess. So that person is called Bhagavan. And he has all good qualities. There is nothing rejectable in him. So हे रीति उपन्यासेन च तदीय गुणानां अप्राकृतत्व अवगमे अपि अवास्तवत्वम् आचक्षणास्ते अपराधेन. So he says, because the word here is used हे guna, that he does not have any qualities in him which are useless or worthless. It means something like to be rejected, thrown away, like garbage. So he says that means that he has qualities, and his qualities are not material. So he says, therefore those who say that God is nirguna, or Brahman has absolute reality, no guna, so they are also confused. And aparadhina katham avidya na muhyanti. So therefore they are also bewildered by That's why they are called Mayavadis. They are also under the influence of Maya. They cannot understand that God has unlimited qualities. So then the next verse says, Asti iti nasti iti cha vastu nishthayor ekasthayor bhinna viruddha dharmayor avekshitam kinchana yoga sankhyayo samam param hyanukulam bhavat. So he says that there are people who say that he has form, and then there are others who has no form. Asti iti. Asti means there is, and nasti means there is not. So asti iti nasti iti cha vastu nishtaya. So about the same object, both are stated. One group says he has no form or no qualities. Another group says that he has form and qualities. So vastunishtayor ekasthayor bhinna viruddha dharma. So in same object they speak of different and opposing qualities and descriptions. In same object is defined completely in an opposite way. So avekshitam kinchana yoga sankhya. So I say this is seen in the school of yoga and sankhya. Samam param hi anukulam brihat. Says but this absolute reality is brihat. Means it is big, it is great, and therefore both are possible. He has form and he has no form. So that is the greatness of the reality, that it can exist having both, or it can have qualities which are opposite to each other. They can exist in it. Nanu te shastragyaha kimiti nindante शास्त्राणामेव एकमत्या भावेन परस्पर विरोधात् इति चेन नैवं वादित्या. So someone is raising a doubt. He says, why are you criticizing these people? They are knower of the scriptures and they are basing their thoughts on the scriptures. In the Shastra itself, it is not just one opinion but different opinions which are stated. So there is also a statement in the Shastra that Nirgunam Nirakaram, and there is also a description that he has form. Parasya Shakti Vibdhaya Shuyate, that he has Shakti. Swabhavaki Jnani Balatliya. And he knows, he sees, he wills, he desires, Ekabhausyam. So if he is thinking that I am one, I should become many, then he must have mind to think. And he must have form. So why do you criticize them if the Shastra itself is like this? So he says, no, that is not true understanding. And this verse explains it. Yoga Sankhya Yoho, Yoga Bhakti Yoga Shastram, Sankhya Jnana Shastram. So yoga here means Bhakti Yoga, on the path of devotion, and Sankhya means Jnana Yoga, the path of impersonal realization. Tayostat Prasiddham. So he says these two schools, they see the reality in two different ways. One sees only the impersonal aspect, another sees the personal aspect. Sarvotkristam Brihad Brahma He says that this reality is supermost, superior to everything else. It is great. Samam ananukulam cha yatha syat tatha vikshitam. It is seen as equal or which is not favorable to such divisions. Paraspar viruddhayostayor dvayoreva shastyoravikshne kimapi vaishamyam pratikulyam cha nasti ityartha. The meaning is that there is no dissimilarity or unevenness or opposition when you see these two different types of statements. Because these two different types of statements, they are talking about two different aspects of the same reality. Because reality is brihat, it is big, and it has multi-facets. Like sometimes you have this holographic pictures. So the same thing you see from different sides, and you can see two different things. On one side you can see Krishna playing flute, on the other side you see Krishna tending cows. So one person who is seeing from this side says, no, this is Krishna playing flute. Another one says, no, he is with the cow. And both can fight. And both are right. And yet both are saying something opposite to each other. So it is possible. If it is possible in just a holographic picture, why it is not possible in the absolute reality? So that's what happens, that different sages, they see different aspects. And then that seems contradictory to that. So in the path of Jnana Marga, they say that absolute reality is called Brahman. And it is without any divisions, it is undifferentiated, without any quality, without any form, and just uniform reality. There are no divisions, there is nothing else but Brahman. That is their vision. And then there is Bhakti Yoga, in which they say that no, God is actually a person. He has a form, he has quality, he has all the qualities, he is most wonderful. And he is creating and he has a real form. Now, Jnana Yoga school also accepts form, but they say that this form is only in the phenomenal reality, in the empirical reality, but in the transcendental stage, there is no variety. So, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, Jiva Brahmaiva Napara. That Brahma is right and this whole universe is mithya, it is an illusion. And even we are Brahman. So that is their statement. And Bhakti Yoga says that that's not true. That there is also qualities, form, and it is transcendental. And we are part of that Brahman. So these both are right. Because one is only seeing the one aspect and the other is seeing from a different aspect. So therefore it says Paraspar viruddhayos tayor dvayoreva shastrura vikshane. So he said if you study these two types of statements of Shastra which are opposing each other, then Vaisamyam pratikulyam cha nasti. And there is no discrepancy or opposition. Because Shastra is explaining for different types of sadhakas and transcendentalists. Some have interest only in impersonal realization, so it explains only the impersonal aspect. But that does not mean that the personal aspect does not exist. So the personal is also existing. Those who are interested in personal aspect, it is explaining that also to them. And the impersonal is also within personal. But everything which has personality is also having personality. So that's why Bhagavatam says that there is only one tattva, it is called Brahman, it is also called Bhagavan. Tayoho katham bhutayo asti iti bhinna viruddha dharmayo. So he says, how is it? He says, because of the opposing quality. One says it is there and one says it is not there. Now he gives examples. So Yoga Shastra hi Krishnam Pishangambaram Manbujekshanam Chaturbhujam Sankhya Gada Dir Ayudham Ityadina Nam Rupa Guna Pani Padadi Angopanga Parshada Dhamadi Asti Upashatvena Vidhiyate. So he says in the Yoga Shastra, the scriptures which are describing Bhakti Yoga. So there it is said that Krishna, he is wearing yellow dress, Vishanga Amba, and Ambujakshana. He has beautiful eyes, wide, like lotus petals. And Chaturbhujam, he has 4 hands, and in the 4 hands he is holding a conch, a club, and a lotus flower, and a disc. So this type of description is given, and thus from this description we understand that he has a name, he has a form, and then if he has a form then he has qualities, because anything which has form has qualities. And he has hands and legs, and he has his associates, he is not alone, and he has his own abode. So there is a whole transcendental world which exists, and he is described as the worshipper. Then we have the Sankhya Shastra, Shastra related to the Jnana world. So it says Sankhya Shastra hi anam rupa gunam apani padam achakshura sotram ekam aditiyam api nam rupaditam nasti iti nishundati. So there it is said that, and this is from the Upanishad, that he has no name, no form, no qualities, no hands, no legs, no eyes, no ears. He is one without a second. So this is also stated in the same Shruti, the Vedas. So he says here the name, form, qualities, etc. are denied. Ityevam bhutau bhinnau paraspar viruddhau cha dharmo yayostayor bhinna vishyatva virodho nasyat. So he says this contradictory description, there is no contradiction here, because this is talking about the different vishaya or different aspects. And this is how we have to reconcile it. Ekasthayo eva ekasmin brahmani eva. So these both things exist in one reality, in one Brahman alone. This is not a talk of two different things. So reality is only one, but there are two different realizations of that one reality. So just like if you are in a plane up in the sky and you are crossing an ocean, so you look down, you see the ocean, but you don't see any variety. It just looks one big thing, bluish thing. So, not that you don't see any waves, you don't see absolutely no variety, just one thing. But then you are on the beach and you go inside the ocean and you see so much variety in it. There are so many living beings, it's a whole world in it. So this object has not changed. The same object. And suppose one person is always in the plane, he never comes on the ground. So if you ask him that can you describe what is there, he will say, oh, it's just one blue thing. And there is another person who is always on the ground, he is never gone up. He will say it is motion, it has variety. And then they can fight with each other. So object is only one, but these are two different realization, understanding or experience of two different types of people. And therefore Shastra is giving two different descriptions of these two realizations. And thus there is no contradiction if you understand that. So that description that it has no form, no qualities, no hands, no legs is also all the same thing which has all this. It's not that it does not have. But that description is from a distance. And the other description is from the closeness. So Bhakti Yoga means that you want to be close with reality. And because you want to relate with it, you want to have a loving relationship with the reality. That's why it is called a path of love or devotion. Then reality manifests to you from a close part. And in Jnana Yoga is path of renunciation, you want to renounce everything. Therefore reality manifests to you from afar away, because you don't want anything. So then you don't see it. So both are right in their own ground. That's what he says. He says, Vastu Nishthayo Ekasthayo. And these two descriptions are only of one. Ekasthayo means one, and Vastu Nishtha, and they are real. And it's not that one is wrong and one is right. Because that's where the fight comes. One tries to dispose the other one. And this is wrong. And this is wrong. So he says, no, both are right and both are related to one thing only. But we have to understand that they are from different angles. It's like that story of 4 blind men and an elephant. So the 4 blind men are giving description of one elephant. Same thing, but their descriptions are different because they are seeing it from different perspectives. One is touching the tail, another is touching the ears, another one leg, another one is holding the trunk. So therefore they say that there is actually no contradiction, because it's only one object. Nanu katham avasyam apratikulyam va tatra. So he says that if these are two opposing descriptions, then how you say that there is no contradiction and they don't oppose each other? So then he says vastu nishtha. Vastuni vastav vastu niyeva nishtha pratipadakatva lakshana eva. So there is no contradiction when you understand the vastu or the reality. And there is no honesty. But when you don't understand the reality, then you keep on fighting because of your own ego, because you want to prove yourself as right and the other one as wrong. तेन भक्ति शास्त्र विधिना वास्तवम वस्तुएव प्रतिपादयति न तु अवास्तवम तथा ज्ञान शास्त्रम च निषेधेन वास्तवम वस्तुएव प्रतिपादयति न तु अवास्तवम. So he says that both Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga, both are talking about the true reality, not about some phantasmagoria, some illusion. Both of them. Because it's only one. So as it is said in the Bhagavatam, in the very beginning, Vedyam Vastam Atra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayam. That here in Bhagavatam you will know what is Vastava Vastu. Vastu means object and Vastava means real. So that true real object, not some imaginary thing, illusion, like the horns of a rabbit. So you can describe horns of a rabbit, but it doesn't exist. Or the son of a barren woman. So you can give descriptions, and there is no real object. So he says that one is describing through positive statements, other is describing through negative statements. So Jnana Yoga is describing by the process of neti neti. This is not, this is not. It has no form, it has no qualities, it has no personality. So that denial is actually the denial of what is known to us. We know that form is material. The experience we have of form is of a material form. Okay? Come sit up. So when it is denied, then it is not an absolute denial. This is where the Gyan Marg, or those who follow the Gyan Marg, they don't understand the intention of Shastra. Because denial is always of something which is existing. You cannot deny something which is non-existent. If you are denying something, then that object must have some existence somewhere. If it has never existed in past, present and future, how can you deny it? So when it is said that God has no form, it does not really mean that He has absolutely no form. It means He has no material form, because what is the denial? Denial is of what we know. And what is our experience of form? Our experience of form is of material form. So when in the Upanishad it is said that Anama Rupa, that it has no name, means He has no material name. And when it says that it has no form, means He has no material form. And when He has no quality, means no material quality. That is the meaning. So we don't have to twist anything. Because on the other side there are statements that He has form. He is called Sarva Rupa, Sarva Nama, Sarva, that all name, all form, all qualities are His. So either you have to reject one and accept one, and that's where the quarrel and fighting begins. Vivada Samvada Bhuva Bhavanti, and becomes a ground for arguments. But when we understand the intention of the Upanishad, then there is nothing to fight. So then in Nyaya, this is the principle that aprasaktasya nishedha sambhavati, that you cannot deny something which is not available. Only that which is available can be denied.
Maybe it's available in one object, and we denied it with respect to another object. Why it should be the same object?
Because you are describing another object. You are describing another object. It's like you say that rabbit has no horn. So you know what is horn. If something called horn never existed, there were no animals who ever had horn, then the statement rabbit has no horn will make no sense.
Right.
But what does it mean? Because you have to first understand what is horn, and that you understand only if it exists somewhere. But if it has never existed, what would it mean? Then sentence will have no meaning. It may be grammatically okay, but it has no meaning.
So maybe what they're saying is that what we see, all those forms that we see for our material senses,
That form
it's
is not the form of God. So that's what he's saying. God has form, but not this type of form. So sometimes I give the example that suppose you like one type of food, you like bread and pasta and this, and you go to a place in some remote village in India where there is no bread and there is no pasta, all you have is chapatis, and you don't like chapatis. So you write back to somebody, oh, there is no food here, I'm starving. So this is not an absolute denial of food. What it means is the food which is your food, which you consider as food, that is being denied, not that everybody is starving and there is nothing. So that's what it means. So when it is said no form, no quality, no means form qualities which are known to us. What is the point of denying something which is not known to us? So that if you say God has a form, then immediately your idea will be he must have form like us, because our idea of form is here. So therefore it has to deny first that there is no form, which means it doesn't have form like this, and then when it says it has a form, then we have to understand that his form is not like our form. So that's the reason for both types of statements. And if we don't understand it like this, either we have to say that one type of statements are wrong, another are right, and that means that Shastra is wrong. And then you will lose faith in everything, because then how do you know which one is wrong and which one is right? Then it will become our fancy, which suits my understanding. I say this is right and another is wrong. But Shastra is right, and if something looks wrong to me, which means that there is some lack in my understanding, not that it is wrong. So this is difficult for people to accept, because after all, we think we know better. So that's why some faith is needed, Shraddha. That is the meaning, that in this path, any path, you need Shraddha. Otherwise you cannot give up your own concept. Then you already know everything. So therefore he says that it is not that what Bhakti Shastra is saying is wrong and what Jnana Shastra is saying is right, or vice versa. Both are right. Both are speaking about the real object, and both are speaking about the same object, yet their descriptions are completely contrary. They look absolutely opposite to each other. तेन भक्ति शास्त्रेण परमेश्वरस्य रामकृष्णादि मूर्तैर नाम रूपादिक वस्तु प्रतिपादने सिद्धे ज्ञान शास्त्रमपि स्वस्य वस्तुनिष्ठत्वादेव तस्य नाम रूपादिकं नैव निषेधति किंतु तस्य मायिक मूर्तैर विराजेव अतएव पुनर्भक्ति शास्त्रमपि ज्ञान शास्त्रे निषिद्धं विराट रूपं पाशक्तेन नोपादते. So now this is the conclusion. It says, therefore, the Bhakti Shastra, or the part of scripture which is speaking about Bhakti Yoga, it is establishing the form of Lord as Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, and names and qualities. And when it is established, then when Jnana Shastra, that part which is speaking about Jnana Yoga, is denying the very same name and form, etc., then it must be understood that it is not denying the name and forms which have been established by Bhakti Shastra. Because if it is denying, then again same quarrel will come. So then what is it denying? He says denying only Maik Murte Viraje. He says it is only denying his material form, Maik form. That is Maik, that his form is not Maik. Which means there is a description in the second canto of Bhagavatam that the universe is also Virat form. And this universe is also form of God. So Patalam Tasya Padam, that Patala Loka is considered as the soul of the Lord. So this is a material description, this is not his real form. So he says that this is also not to be taken for worship. Ateva punar bhakti shastram api Jnana Shastra Nishiddham Virat Rupam Upasyatvena Nopadate. He says Because Jnana Shastra is denying this material form, therefore in Bhakti Shastra this material form is not taken as the object of worship. So therefore in Bhakti Shastra, on the path of Bhakti, we do not worship the universal form, where the universe is taken as the form of God.
One question. So when you say form, doesn't mean matter it's material form or other form. It means that there is some contour, some distinction between what's inside, what's outside. Right? Because otherwise, if there is no border of some kind, you cannot talk about form.
Yeah.
But if there is some border, it means that God is limited.
That is
To that
that is not true. He has limit. He appears to have limit, and yet he is unlimited. That is the meaning of transcendental form.
So maybe that's why. Yeah.
That's the problem, because you don't apply your understanding of material form on God's spiritual form. Material form has the quality that if it is in one place, it cannot be in another place. If it is in one time, it cannot be in another time. But God has a form which has contours, and yet it is not limited by time and space. That is the specificity.
So it's both form and formless in other ways.
It is form and yet unlimited. Instead of saying his formless part is also there, but he has a form which is a form and yet it is not limited. This is inconceivable by the material mind. That's why we need Shastra. Shastra teaches us that which you cannot understand by your own senses. That's what he said earlier. That's how the whole prayer began. It's a very scientifically arranged prayer. Then he started denying that God is not approachable in our senses, and then he said, well, then if it is not approachable, then you have to stop everything. Why talk about any process? So then he said, yes, it is approachable by the grace, and that grace thing came, and then now he is describing. So that's what Bhagavatam is explaining, and in Krishna Leela, Krishna showed this. That Mother Yashoda is trying to bind him with a rope, and she was not able to bind him with thousands of ropes. And yet he is standing in the same place. So to show that his form is looking limited, and yet it is unlimited. This is beyond logic. And because it is beyond logic, that's why he is God. If he is within logic, how can he be God? And he is just under the control of logic. That's why I said that he is the only one who is free and who is Sarveshwara, who is Supreme Controller, who is beyond everything, including your mind and your logic. So simply logic cannot explain everything about God. Logic has its own limit. So in the Vedanta Sutra, therefore it is said, Tarko Apratishtanat. That logic does not have absolute stand, which means that logic cannot explain the absolute reality by itself. And that is why? Because God has characteristics in him which defy logic.
But you know, there are two types of logic at least. There's binary logic, when you say this is true, this is wrong, and there is nothing in between, and there is like 4-point logic, when you say it can be true, or it is false, or it's both true and false, or it's neither true and neither false.
Yeah, but this type of logic is just imaginary logic. In reality, just giving an example of something.
Yeah, you give so many examples. When you say that,
Yeah, but that is
if
not
you
logic.
look, if you look from one aspect, it looks like this, with a holographic picture.
Yeah, so then you have to add that. It is not same thing. You have to say that now you are seeing it from another aspect. You have to add to that. I mean, that is all mathematical or binary. When we say logic, usually logic means cause and effect relationship. Something it has a cause, and that's how logic works. It's based on a principle.
But also I think if you say that, this famous example, it's not exactly that, but a man is mortal, right? So it's mortal or not. Not both statements can be true.
Yeah. So logic is deductive logic, inductive logic. And so therefore it says that even in Bhakti Shastra, what is denied in Jnana Shastra is not worshipped. And yaduktam amuni bhagavad rupe maya te hi anuvarnite ubhayapi na grananti maya srishte vipaschita. So he is quoting a verse from Bhagavatam that where there is a description of this material form, this universe. And then he says that this is creation of Maya, therefore those who are learned vipaschita, they do not accept this. Do not accept means that this is not something which they meditate on or worship. Iti virad rupasya api dharnayam upadanam tu kasyachideva pratham dashayam eva chitta shuddhi artham eva natu sarvadva upasnartham iti bhakti shastriya vastutva avirodhaya. So then why is it being described? Because when you read the second canto of Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami starts his teachings with the description of the universal form, which is material. So he says this is for the beginners, for the neophytes. Because neophyte means who has a material concept. And because he has a material concept, so you have to start from the point where you are standing. So to use the material concept and then elevate from there. So then first let him understand the universe itself as a form of God. And then he has to give up it up ultimately. So then later on, when the heart gets purified, which means when one starts understanding that the universe is also manifestation of God's energy, then this has to be given up and then one takes to the transcendental worship of form, worship of transcendental form of God. So it says Bhakti Jnana Shastriya Vastutastu Avirodhe. So he says therefore there is, in reality, there is no contradiction between Bhakti Shastra and Jnana Shastra, because they are speaking about two different aspects of the Absolute. Api vivadmanaha shastra tatparyam avidvanso darshanika eva vigita iti. And therefore if people who are fighting over this, then they are not really scholars, they are not understood. Unless they are the ones who are criticized, not those who understand. So this is the end of his comment on our topic.
So if we criticize Mayavadis, then we are wrong?
Of course, if we criticize anybody, you're wrong.
It depends what you criticize. Criticizing Mayavadi or criticizing their wrong understanding.
No,
No
like,
point in criticizing any person. What is criticizing the wrong understanding?
no, means that's like saying Brahman में जाके लीन हो जाना है, वो मर्ज होना है.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You have to criticize the wrong understanding. Because that obviously you have to give up. If you are not doing that, then you will also be in ignorance. So both are right does not mean that everybody is right. Both are right only when you understand it. That is right.
How do I know you understand it? How do I know you're right?
You
Everybody
don't
thinks
have a
he's
teacher,
right.
you are not the authority on anything. This is the problem with the modern mind, because everybody thinks that I know because I have internet and I can Google. That is fine, but you cannot know the reality by that way. So that's why we have teachers, we have people who are authority on Shastra. We have to know from them. Otherwise, no one can know. Or everybody knows. Nobody is wrong. That's why we also say, well, don't criticize anybody. Everybody is right. There are also people who say like that.
Another word, Gurudev, we have to be respectful to even this Mayavadi philosophers.
You have to respect to everybody, but at the same time, we have to know what is wrong and what is right. That is very important. You don't have to be jealous, envious of anybody, because everybody is creation of God.
So, on one hand, God is formless, on the other hand, He has a form which cannot be perceived by the material senses and mind. Where does the avatar issue come in? When He descends and appears in a material form for everybody's senses to see and hear and touch, or is the Archa Vigraha?
So that's what we said, that it's possible by His grace. That's what we discussed earlier, that although He is unapproachable with our normal material senses, but by His grace He can be seen, approached, heard, touched. So there are two ways He gives grace. He can give it to individual person. In case of some devotee who is highly advanced, then God may appear to that person. It means He gives specific power only to that person to see Him. The other person will not see Him. In the same room there may be 50 people, maybe one see and 49 don't see. And second is when He gives this grace to everybody in general, that is in the time of His avatar. So when He comes and in avatar, and He wishes, sarve mam pashyantu, that let everyone see Him. So without any discrimination, everybody can see Him. But even at that time, there is a difference in understanding. Although everybody sees, Kamsa also saw Krishna, and Yashoda also saw. But there was a difference in the bhav. So then the difference comes because of the bhav. Just as we see objects, everybody sees, but what we see in that object, that depends on our bhav.
So the Mayavadi says when that happens, that God takes on a form in this world, then this happens due to sattva, right? So conditions, Brahman. But we do not accept this, of course. So what is that substance then, that form? Is it material? It is not material because it is not conditioned by the gunas.
Yeah, that form is the internal potency, maybe the chit potency. It's like this form is made of external energy, prakriti. That's what is called prakriti. And that is aprakriti. That's why this logic of this, the logic which applies to this energy does not apply to that form. That's why I was saying.
But Gurudev, this when Krishna arrow to Krishna, they made a picture of blood coming out of Krishna's toe. So it means Krishna had the blood and all.
What is the problem?
No, I'm saying that means that the Panchabhautik.
If He can make you see His form, He can also make you see blood.
So you're saying that the internal potency can manifest itself as a visible form to the senses.
Right. Yes.
And that form may not be perceived by someone who is not raised by the internal potency.
Right.
So then that person sees a material form, like Kamsa or Shishupal.
Yeah. So they really don't, they see it, but they don't see the real person. Just like even in case of Vigraha, advanced devotee sees one way the Vigraha and we see it in a different way. It is the same thing. The object is not changing. So So if it is possible for the reader, why it is not possible for Krishna and he is personally present? So this is difficult to understand, this point, because we don't have any experience of it. But if we deliberate a little bit and study carefully, it's also not impossible to understand. Because even in the material world, we see that same person is seen by different people in different ways. Somebody is a criminal. The criminal also has maybe some lover, wife, husband, children. They don't see him the way others see. He's the same person. So what is the difference? It's difference only in their bhava. So if it is possible for a material person like this, why it is not possible for God? For him it is even much more possible.
Well, it looks like on the one hand, since God is assumed to be omnipotent, everything is possible. Absolutely everything. You can ask any question and you can answer, it should be possible, right? Because he's omnipotent.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we are limited, our intellect is limited, nobody denies that part. So ultimately you can say, because we're limited, we are not able to know God fully. We may know a little bit from this angle or from that.
That came in the verse itself. It says, no one can know him fully. Even God cannot know himself fully.
Why this?
Because he has no limit.
But he is omnipotent, he should be able to do everything, including know himself.
But then if something has no limit, how can you know it fully?
Why not?
We try to understand the meaning of what is unlimited. I think what it means to be unlimited.
No end, no beginning, no middle.
Okay.